Just quite a privilege and proud of myself, to be honest, to do 20 in a row. I'd like to ask anyone else that's done that at the top level, and it's been a journey from day one when I first done my first one, but I just feel proud that I've not missed one, to be honest, and I always said to myself every year, just make sure if I only do one race a year, it's got to be the London Marathon. As a young kid, I was passionate about other sports. My family were big boxers, a boxing family, so I was always in gyms watching my brothers train and spar and travelling around, London and around the country watching them fight as a 4-year-old and older. And then watching my friends play Sunday League, going to support them, and I just found that I couldn't find a sport that was fulfilled my needs like watching them. And boxing was probably the one that I really, really wanted to do. So I had to find a sport that gave me that desire that I got watching my brothers fight. So obviously watching the London Marathon, that was the only thing you saw. Wheelchairs on TV at the time in the early 80s, and seeing the greats like Chris Hallam and Tanny, Dave Holding, all them guys doing the London Marathon. I said to my parents, I think I want to try that sport. But it took a number of years because I tried other sports, and it was quite hard to get a racing chair and stuff. And then I did the mini marathon in my day chair and fell in love. I was quite fortunate with my local council. They used to have a sports grant for young, inspiring kids into sport, and I think I was the first disabled person to apply for it. And I think it shocked them, and they gave me a grant to get my first racing chair. I think it was about £1,000 or something like that, and then I had to raise a bit more to get the extra bits. But I had a good family network and good friends around me, and that's how I got my first sort of racing chair. It didn't look much different to the day chair, to be honest, but it was probably the best thing that I ever got. And I remember getting it, and just outside my old house I had this like stretch of path, and I remember practicing for the London mini marathon, going up and down, up and down. I was there all day. My mum and dad said I was just going up, down, turn around, going back, up, down, because I just loved this new racing chair that I got. I remember doing the qualifier. I can't remember where it was, but it was in the streets of London somewhere. I just remember it being some back streets, and they said we had to do 2.5 miles in under 30 minutes, and you had to be 11, I think, and I was 8, so I lied. And my parents were a bit worried because I said, no, I've got to do it. So we lied about my age for a few years, to be honest. And then I just remember the course just being up and down curbs. It was more like an agility course more than a time trial for a mini marathon. And I scraped through under 29 minutes, and it was probably the proudest moment of my career. And then I just remember lining up for the race in the mini marathon, and just getting ready and just doing it for fun and looking around these amazing other athletes in these amazing racing chairs, and I was stuck in an NHS day chair, and I just felt proud of being in the same environment of these young adults that were going to be the next generation in wheelchair racing. I just wanted to be like them. Yeah, you see that glare in people's eyes that they're starstruck, but you try and just be I'm just a normal lad from a council estate like everyone else, and when I see that, I try and embrace them and try and encourage them to get into sport. And I even see it when I come here. If I'm not here and these lot are training at the academy, they might train 10% less effort, but as soon as they see me, they'll put that effort in because they don't want to disappoint me. So I feel that it's obviously a little bit of pressure on them, but I think that just makes them better. When you had the elite British wheelchair racers saying to your face that your technique and your ability to race is something I've never seen in my career of racing. And these were people that have won medals at major championships like Chris Hallam, Dave Holding, Tanny. The list could go on and on and on. I just knew from probably about the age of 11. I remember I always wanted to play basketball, to be honest. And I did the international junior games, and we had a makeshift basketball team, made the final, lost. Got very frustrated because the team didn't play that well. And then I was racing in the afternoon, and I remember winning all my races, and I got a totally different buzz. And that's when I realised that I was more of an individual man in an individual sport. And I said to my dad, right, this is the sport I want to do. I don't want to do nothing else but this. He said, all right, I'll take you wherever you want to go and support you in whatever you want to do. And I just knew when I got selected for, I think I was about 12 or 13 for the senior squad in Ireland, and I was beating men, then I sort of knew that I had a special talent. I don't remember the weather conditions. I just remember that I'd only been back into racing for 2 years, and I've been training on my own pretty much that period. And I remember lottery funding just come out, and they wanted to support me for sprints. But I said, I'm definitely doing the London Marathon, is that okay? They said, yeah. But I was struggling, and I knew Jenny was coaching again, and she had a group down here in Kingston. So I asked her if she could help me. So this was, it was either December or January, or even later. It might have been even later. And then I was going to a training camp, and she said, I just said, could you just get me fit to do the marathon? I just want to do the marathon. Sorry, I've got that wrong. Let me go back, because I joined Jenny in 2002. So I've been training on my year. So my first one I've been doing on my own, and then the second one. But then in 2002, I joined Jenny in February, and then I was going to a training camp in Malaga, and she gave me a program to follow, and then I come back and followed her program. It was probably the toughest thing I've ever done in my life. I remember turning up here, and it was pouring with rain, and she said, right, you've got 50 laps. I was like, what? She said, you've got 50 laps on your own. And I did 50 laps in the rain. I think I finished at like 10 o'clock at night. I went back. But she was only trying to give me that confidence of actually training on my own and having self-belief and you know, make sure I can do anything in any scenario. And we trained for a couple of months, and then obviously I went and won the London Marathon. But on the day, I remember Pierre Fairbank was probably the fastest marathon guy who entered. I didn't think I'd be anywhere near them guys, and I remember just being in the pack, and Fairbank made a break, and I was the only man chasing him down. And when I looked back, there was no one near me. So I just tried to chase, and he took a corner wrong and hit an island in the middle, and then I was in the lead, and I was like, well, what do I do now? You know, do I wait for the pack? And then I remember Jenny saying to me, if you ever get in the front, don't ever look back, just carry on pushing until the end, and that's what I did. And the pack didn't catch me, and I crossed that line. They're all special. Truly, I think I should have more. I should have won a few others, but that could have been down to lack of training, underestimating the races. You know, there was a period where I felt like I was at the top of the game and no one could beat me, and then you realise that actually there is a younger generation that are trying to chase you down, and that's when you realise you can't hold back on any bit of training. You have to knuckle down and train really hard all through the year. But probably 2017 was probably special because of what happened in Rio. And my mental state at that time of the year was not great. To be honest, I didn't know how I got on the start line, let alone race. To be honest, it's the only race that I really look forward to every year. I like doing all the others, but London Marathon is the one that's in my heart because of how I started, to be honest. From day one, I wanted to do the London Marathon and win it. It doesn't matter how many times I win it, every time it feels special. You know, Tanni's record was something special, but I knew I was capable of beating her wins. And it was a special moment, obviously, to beat you know, a great Paralympic icon as Tanni is. So yeah, it was an amazing feeling. I think it's the fear of failure, of losing, and I think that's what drives me on every year to make sure I do well and not come out of that top three. At this back end of my career, I'm racing guys that are 20 years younger than me. So I don't know, I just seem to stay injury-free, touch wood. Try and stay as healthy as I can. Yeah, I just try and change things in training as well to improve. There's not much gains I can get at the moment, but there's little things I can still do to win races. Experience, just turning up on the start line scares people, I think, a little bit. And I think, you know, being back this year fully, I think a lot of people were surprised at my performances in the last few marathons. I wasn't, but I think a lot of them, especially the older generation. But yeah, I don't know really. I'll carry on until I feel I can't compete at the highest level. I feel I'm stronger and fitter than I've been for years, to be honest. So as long as that carries on, I'll carry on. I've had it since 2012, to be honest. I think it was a lot of pressure on my shoulders to always deliver. If it wasn't on the racing field, it was at home. If it wasn't there, it was with other people. I just felt like I always had to please everyone else but myself. And I think that's why I fell out of the love of track racing. I felt like every time I went in that call room that I was pleasing other people and not myself. So that's why I didn't know if I was going to carry on. But the thing is, I didn't get that with the marathon circuit. I didn't get that at the London Marathon. I don't get that pressure. I don't know why. I still sit there and think, well, why don't I get the same pressure when I'm sitting in the tent getting ready with 20 guys that are amazing athletes, when I'm doing the same thing, racing on the track, maybe with less guys, but I'm sitting in the final call thinking, what am I doing here? I still can't put my finger on it why, but I don't feel that pressure when I go into the marathons. Maybe because I know I've got more opportunities to win the race than I would in a 800 or a 1500. The guys are getting quicker on the track. Maybe I've lost my speed a little bit. I don't know, but I just feel more comfortable over that distance as I've got a little bit older. And going back to 2017, I just think I had loads of other stuff going in the background that I just didn't know what I wanted to do with life, to be honest. And I'm glad I didn't pack it in, to be honest, because I probably won't be here now and racing and doing well. I don't know, I keep saying I'm retiring every year, don't I? So, no, I don't know. I've always said if I ever fall back into the second pack and at least 2-3 minutes behind, then I know it's time to retire. Not if it's an off day, because some people do get an off day, or you've been ill or something like that, but if it's a continuous pattern, then I know it's time to hang my gloves up.